Thank you. Thank you for having me, really. Thank you for making it to this last day. I see Isabel. Thank you for being here and not staying in your bed. I think we're all a little bit jet lagged from you. So I will try not to be boring, I promise. So if I am, make sign and I'll go quickly to the end. So today I will be talking about art with a purpose. I will try to make it not so much technical. I think we have enough of technical, especially people way smarter than me. So, what's art with a purpose? All the time, today I have a small studio in Paris, a OVVO studio, and it's actually, it's a commercial studio, so we all need to live, and we all need to work, we all need to get clients. It's almost pretty much the same thing. So a lot of work, a lot of commercial work that we do, it's about data use and about finding ways to present things, to present ideas, and to connect people with the data, with the subject of study or something. So some of the stuff that we do is actually, so this is my studio, and if you check in the website, it's still VIP, it's work in progress, I'm sorry. You know that it's very, very, very long to do. Some of the stuff that we're doing, it's really, really kind of a large palette of things. This is the art installation formula, triangle of design. This is the Heineken, you know, it's pretty much the, this is the Lacoste that we did. This is the Farfadet, it's kind of a Cirque du Soleil, I know, in Montreal. It's very, by the way, they recruit everyone from there, from this French company. This is upcoming work for Louvre. This will be a 72-channel sound garden in Lens. It's in the north of Paris. Not Paris, France, sorry. This is the kind of immersive VG hybrid generative stuff for design days in Paris. It's in June, normally. This is for Roscus. Roscus is a French artist that's doing you know, self-sampling things. So everything was done in TouchDesigner, of course, and it was I think it was a world premiere because of this space. I don't know if someone knows it. It's called in Paris Guété. It's a kind of a digital art center in the middle of Paris, and those screens. Completely independent, and there are a lot of them, and for each of the screens there is a projector. So it's really hard to get, you know, this stuff onto the screen from one computer. So we tried, and it was a really world premiere, I think. We tried this, the TCP spout that were beamed into pretty much into 3 Macs that were hidden somewhere. And it was honestly, it was the only way to do generator stuff. Everything else that they do in this place needs pre-rendered. And so it worked out for some reason. It didn't head out, or nothing happened, nothing bad happened. So yeah, this is a little bit what we do. Well, of course, a lot of market projection that you all do. A lot of animation, actually. We have a great motion design studio. This is animation for Jacques Tardy. It's comics, it's a French comics, basically. And it's an extension, it's a web extension, interactive, for Studio Canal feature film. And this is also the market projection for Heineken, and that's it. So I'm done with my self-promotion. Now we can go to the good stuff. And the good stuff is really about the database. And I don't know, for perhaps you're too young perhaps to know this, that the Artfulness is a really great band that I personally know. Yes. And so who's afraid of Artfulness? For me it was always kind of the classic album that it's finding the sense in the noses. By the way, they have also an album that calls like that. But for me it was a great metaphor for what I'm trying to say today. It's that the database should be always boring, should be graphics and PowerPoints. By the way, I'm not using PowerPoint. And it should be about something deeper. If you want really to communicate an idea, to connect with a person, and really to be really persuasive, I think you need to create something else. You need to get deeper on an emotional level. So for me, art is it's pretty much as a tool. And just a couple of examples, of great examples of data visa from every artist. And this is heartbreaking to, especially very current for today's teams. And so yeah, this is the city lights. This is the gradients, this is the deep web, and so it's bringing chaos to order, not vice versa. We have order with data, and we need something more than that. We need some human touch and some human way to visualize things, because we actually, as humans, we have really very limited experiences. Like, we have almost, well, not almost, it's impossible for us to imagine, for example, I don't know, the distance to the sun. For human experience, it doesn't represent anything. So the only way is to make feel something, to make metaphor work in the same way, pretty much. So, also, yeah, this is a great quote that I personally like from Clark. It's if you trying to get the sense of wonder from a person, and you will get a message kind of done and done. Visceral connection is pretty much what I was talking about. It's about connecting with data in more intuitive and more emotional way. And of course, this way you will understand your subject much better. So it was kind of a short lyrical introduction, and that's why I brought today to show you two projects, one of the big project and then an ongoing one, and the other one is really, that's what I'm calling the 5 minutes project for education for children. So this project, it's a project about the lovely city of Paris that I want to rehabilitate after Roy and team trusted this city, and trees are very happy in Paris, believe me. And so there's a new kind of a tendency in Paris. And Paris is a big, small city. That's what I'm calling, because it's kind of enclosed in this historical wall, if you, around the city. So to expand it and to kind of to include all the suburbs, to make it a truly European metropole, there is a project called Le Grand Paris, the Big Paris, and this is the project kind of to get all the suburbs, all the people of the suburbs work as if they're in Paris. So, and first of all, it works with the infrastructure, of course, with the transport. So the less time you spend in the metro, in the tube, in the trains, the better it is. So it's pretty much immediate. That's why it's around today. It's a project of 36 billion euros, and this project this part of the project that I was working for, it's 3 billion euros. So it's a really, I cannot also imagine what kind of money is this to handle. So, but it's until 2040, and so it's an expansion of Paris in this infrastructural way. So what we did, and they needed, it's a government project, so and the government needed a tool to attract the people, to attract especially the local organizations and some enterprises to invest in this region along the transport lines, so it would be more accessible, it would be pretty much the quality of life would be as it would be in Paris. So we created an interactive experience that with the geo data is tool in it, and by its design it's a really hybrid system because it's a projection mapping, it's I will show it to you, it's a projection mapping, it's a LED, it's a pixel mapping, it's a 3D sound, it's a lighting, because it's a showroom, it's a physical space that we did. And it's evolving with the project, so we have a contract for next 10 years, and every 6 to 8 months we're updating the content, and that's why we design, this is what I will be talking today, we will design the system the way we designed it, so you can do all the updates off-site, and everything. So, I think, yes, the next is a video, if you can dim lights, please. I will show it what it looks like. So that's pretty much it. This is not a big space, it's a showroom for around 20 people. But it represents, they have something like today, something like 100 visualization that you can run on this model with a kind of future prediction of time that it will take to go from this place to this place, that what it represents in kind of in employment and what in 45 minutes, which is a reasonable time to get to work in 45 minutes, where can you get today and where you will be able to get in 15 or 10 years. So that's why we designed the hybrid system, and it's so this is pretty much the 3D of the space. So you have the video walls everywhere, you have the model, and you have a mapping projection. You have a custom web server, and you have a custom web app that can run on anything. It's a universal thing. And yeah, so the presenter is presenting the thing to the people to the government, to the local authorities or enterprises or something. Everything is run on TouchDesigner, and So the next thing, I think, yes, it's a small system design that I don't want to bore you that much. But so we have a rendering server, multi-GPU server that runs everything. And we have a control and housekeeping server that kind of monitor the system. And we have an access, of course, 24 hours to both of them. And so they communicate with each other and in the cloud. And so you have in one server, he's doing the mapping, he's doing the video wall stuff, he's doing the LEDs, he's doing the multi-channel sound, and he's doing the lighting in the show, in this room. There's not a one button in this place. Everything is from iPad and from apps. And on the other side, we have the control and housekeeping server, which monitors things, and the web app. So TouchDesigner, the third instance of TouchDesigner, and Node.js. Just pretty much winning combination, I think. And it runs already for 1.5 years without hic. So once again, amazing software. Thank you, Derivative, for your amazing work and support, by the way, because there are a lot of things to get there, because this software is of incredible complexity, and the support of the Derivative, I think you all know, is outstanding. So yes, we have an iPad, and yes, we have an iPad that works, and actually it's multi-client, so you can have as much client as you want on those. A small making of, just yeah. By the way, how do you say? The ground is printed, so, and the model is extruded exactly from the ground, and it follows all the lines. So you can really situate in all the region where are you in any given moment. I will cut it because anyway we will see right now what I really want to talk about. What was kind of the challenge of this project, because we, as I told you, we have a 10-year contract with the government to make an update for every 6 to 8 months, something like that. So, and we have something like hundreds visualizations. So, and visualizations is the mapping, is the length, is the video walls. So how do you design it in a way that economically efficient too, and just easy and simple? So we developed kind of a, I'm calling, it's funny because I didn't know that it was such a problem for everyone, but apparently, so it's the question of timeline is on everyone's mind today. So we developed ours, like every month, and I'm calling it pixel timeline. So we encoding pretty much everything. Yes, in our hybrid engine, it's a pixel timeline. We're encoding everything in the movie. I mean, all the commands, all the effects, all the data directly in the movie in After Effects. So you can have your freelancer doing all the visualizations offsite and just delivering it directly to the server, and everything is being put on the screens, on the LEDs and everything. So I will show you how it works. So we have a pre-rendered media that contains pixels and command maps. Command maps is pretty much like a UV maps, but you decide that this pixel and this value it's just doing that. I mean, I don't know, RGB channel, for example, from 0 to 010, it will be this animation on the first station. From 010 to 012, 20, it will be this animation on another station, etc. And so it's really easy to do everything. I have already done a lot of that stuff in trains, for example, and in planes, because you just doing your mapping media, and then you just encode in certain pixels whatever you want to show it, actually, and the server knows where to look and put in everything in place, and it's perfectly in sync. It's one file, and it's kind of it's easy to do. And so we have a pixel decoding. It's a GSL multi-sampler comp. It's the easiest thing in the world, and I'm not really good in GSL, but this one I could do it. And so we have a generative media. That's why I call it the hybrid engine, because you have really the best of both worlds. So in pre-rendered media, you can have a precise art direction, which is sometimes difficult to do with the generative stuff, because you want it really, for example, for the mapping projection to look the way you want to look. And we all have our tools, I don't know, After Effects, we all have our plugins, our looks, etc. And you can have a cinematic quality for the pre-rendered stuff. You can have off-site content creation. So the freelancer for the next, I don't know, every time it will be perhaps a different person every 6 or 8 months. So you will just give the template and you say, listen, this pixel works this way, this pixel you encode the color of for the station and everything. So it's really easy. He doesn't need to know anything about TouchDesigner, about anything, which is a bad thing, by the way. Everyone should know something about TouchDesigner. But if they don't want to, they can not to know anything. And it's all inclusive since. So it's pretty much, you don't need I don't know, like in phase or duration timelines. You don't need to supply another timeline for this file. So on the other hand, for the generative media, we can have it's a great interpolation. So we have always very precise colors, effects, and logic, and that runs on its own sample rates, like LEDs, for example. If you try to encode LEDs animation in 25 frames per second, like European, it will be really tiered and very jerky. So and running at 60 or 19 FPS, it's perfect, and it's really not that easy to do in the normal way, let's say. So you can have a device control, so you can integrate all the lighting. That what we did for our commercial work for the beer, for La Mort Subite. It's a Belgian beer that kind of a very funky and doing very fun stuff. We did a kind of it was once again, it was one-day project, but it's kind of it's a Disney-style attraction. So they bought a tuk-tuk, you know, from Asia, and we put all the technologies in it. So we put the engine, you know, it's called the butt kicker. Normally, it's used for the drummers that need to hear kind of the kick. That's why it's called the butt kicker, and you cannot put a lot of subs on stage today with LED screens. It's very ugly. So the butt kicker and the lighting, the fans, and we made the mapping projection on the windshield. And so it's pretty much the ride for, you know, from Amsterdam to Belgium and back. And so everything was encoded in pixels in the movie. And so the DMX fans were encoded in the movies that were synchronized with what happened on the screen. The butt kicker was encoded in those pixels and everything. So it's really handy way to do quick and it's
it's including it's a self-included timeline already, because it's always in sync with the mapping projection with the movie. So perfect sync and global tweaking, yes. So what it looks like, this is the actual, it's just a pre-visualization media what runs on our servers. So this the guy, for example, for After Effects guy doing that, okay? And here we're encoding, I have this funky thing, I think, yes. Here we're encoding all the kind of a pixels. For example, another example, I think, yes. Do you see, for example, this is encoding the LEDs here, progression. And here we have a projection. This is pre-visualization, so we can understand what's happening. And the actual media, I think, yeah, it's another way. You see, for example, here, we have a colors, we have animations, and we have a kind of a commands. It depends with of the first color. It's RGB encoded command map. And the actual media, this is the one, it's that. So you have a clean projection mapping media that rendered in After Effects with the future of all the various transport. And here you have all the command maps, which is perfectly in sync with the projection mapped media. And you can see it a little bit more closer. So we have, for example, all the effects. We have an aioli line, so this is mapped on the LEDs. The auras, what we called, it's underlighting, it's DMX light pretty much. The smart film, it's electrical film that, you know, the transparent film that changes its transparency. And the station, the encoding, the animation is encoded, and I can choose whether I want to use this one, it's per pixel animation, or I want to use the command that encoded in one of those two kind of channels. So that's pretty much it. This is our way to encode the stuff in a pixel timeline. And honestly, it's really simple and easy to do. So yeah, I wanted to show you just a quick thing in TouchDesigner, if I need to. So we encoded, as I showed to you, we had the 3 instances actually. So we have one instance for projection mapping for the movies, and everything else is communicating via spout or shared memory or something. So this one is just a small instance with the spout out, and this is the real media that put in there. Yeah, I will change it on the. I'll try to get it here. Yeah, this is just this is just a movie, and this is just a spout out. Because it's for some reason it's on my computer, at least it's way more efficient than shared memory. And this is the LED and how it's been remapped, and how this kind of a map was extracted from there. This is another instance that's opening. And it's open, but where? Yeah, it's this one. So, what's happening here? We have, I'll try to, because it's really difficult to see anything. So this performance connect, this is a state, this is everything. This, it's coming from the spout. You see the spout here, it's going to the sampling, and it's going to the GLSL. GLSL here, it basically just tells, I parsed everything before here. So you have a kind of a big, it's a calibration table, pretty much, when I know where each pixel is on my DMX. You don't need to do this twice. I need to do it once every 10 years, which is quite efficient, I think. So, and then it's kind of it going to and look for the pixels in my movies, and which is kind of which gives that. it uses the chop to convert it in a texture. And in GLSL, it's pretty much that. So I'm just extracting from the movie, and I'm looking on only those pixels via texture. That's it, pretty much. And then I have a linearized one pixel string that then I convert to DMX channels, which is here. I'm doing it once, and here, for example, it's I don't know how much exactly. Yeah, it's with 32 channels. And then it's been parsed, and it's been parsed in the, it depends on what. For example, the sand animation, this is the LED, this is the underlighting stuff, this is the another LED, this is the station stuff, and then it's been parsed, and it's been routed to the DMX channels here, and that's basically it. And it's being outputted by channel basis. So it's really kind of a simple way of thinking about the timelines and about it encoding stuff. And we're doing it almost every time that we need to have a timeline, which is not our preferred thing to do. But anyway, if you have a pre-rendered stuff and need to synchronize with something, it's one of the way perhaps to work with it. So that was it, and I have another small project that I need to go and open my another map. I think it's that one. Yes. I'll close those two. No. The thing is, how do I relaunch it? The full screen. I think it's this one. Yes. So, I don't know what movie is this. Yeah. This is another part. This is the 100% generative video walls. So it's also encoded in the movie. Some of the stuff, not the actual text, but the taxonomy, which let's say, in which part of the project, this movie is being played back, and so you can have it's pretty much for the people to know them where it stops, pretty much where the presentation is over. So you have kind of a 10 steps, and if I want to, I think I can. Yeah, I can get once again. Yeah, this is a generative animation too. So, and you can always say when it finishes. Pretty much that's it. But the video walls are used for this, for the taxonomy, and for more technically precise stuff like motion design for new robotic trains or something. So if they need more precision about that, and the small screen flow. This is about how our application work actually, and the application was developed to be also an experience by itself, to tell the truth, because it's been used by kind directors and the communication people from the from SNCF, from the transport company. So they really needed a tool that would be easy and everything. So you have a heartbeat, of course, it's a connection with the system, and then you have a settings, so you can go and check the lighting in the room. Once again, there is not a one button even in this place, so everything is handled with this app. And the app is done in 3D, and you have a kind of a you have a feedback in the app, so this is kind of a displayed until the infinite loop is going on. Okay, so that's why it's just a visual indicator for the presenter, not to perhaps switch if they want it to be more fluid and everything. So it kind of in this app we're trying to slow things down, so it would be more fluid and more pleasant for the people to look at and kind of to take their time in this one. So I think this is the small project that we did. Well, not that small, but the smallest one is this one. It's actually that we did this this January, and this is a project for the recycling. Because right now, especially in France, here it's very strong, I think. In France, it's just common, like recycling and the consciousness about recycling. But to tell the truth, even I sometimes don't know in which bin I need to throw what. So that's why the Viola, it's a CITAM enterprise. They created this kind of educational space, especially for children, to tell the truth. And in this space, it's not this one, it's this one. Yeah, and this space is called the 5 Minutes Project. That it's an educational purpose. It's pretty much that. So we integrated those are the scanners, just the core barcode scanners. But we used the QR code to scan, and so yeah, the children have those kind of I don't know, those objects that they scan and they throw into the bin, and they have the visual and sound feedback about that. So actually, the fun part it took 5 minutes perhaps to do this, to code the thing, but perhaps 2 days with poor Marcus on my TeamViewer computer, because there was a small kind of I don't know, small bug in TouchDesigner about the serial dots. That was corrected almost immediately, but after 2 serial dots, it ran like in 1 FPS. So I think it's not possible. There is literally nothing there, and yeah, and Marcus was great, and yeah, and so it pretty much it resembles to that, and I just took with my iPhone thing. The fun part, the kind of the complication part in this, that because I'm first and foremost I was a musician, and you know, there's when you repeat the same sample all the time, it's called the machine gun effect. And in sampling, it's kind of a bad word. So you never do this. You never repeat the same sound twice in a row, because if not, you have this machine gun effect. That's why I made is also the round robin. So we have 6 sounds, and the TouchDesigner kind of loops through randomly through these 6 sounds that very similar, but not exactly the same. So you have always, it's not very annoying. Well, it's annoying, but not that much annoying. Okay, and so yeah. So that's pretty much, I think, it. Yeah, the round robin samples, and thank you.
Thanks, Shandor. We'll open it up to questions now.
Thank you. Hello, Shandor.
Thank you.
The project is very nice also in the aesthetic aspect. It shows that you take care about that. My question, just to be precise about what I understood on the project with the transition, you know, and the system that you developed, the pixel timeline, right? If I understand well, the video itself include the representation that you project and the score, let's say.
Yeah, this is the point, actually. And I showed the true media that it's actually in the showroom.
That's right.
You have the mapping projection, and everything else. Of course, when you're doing mapping, you're doing a lot of masking too. So it's being projected, but of course the data part is not projected.
Because that's right. Because of the form, the shape of the table.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's mapped, and I mean it's masked and it's cut out.
Okay, just to make sure that I understand the principle.
Yeah.
And I found it's brilliant. I think it's a nice idea to embed the data with the visual all together. It's sync. It's one file.
Yeah.
And it seems to work very well. So.
Oh, it never let us down until today as well.
Question right here.
Hey, yeah,
Hey.
I was wondering when you encode that with the video, which I also did before, but how do you deal with codecs? Which codec did you use? Because if
I
a
know.
single pixel does a lot of things, and you get like an artifact,
That's why actually, that's why we kind of we have built in the tolerance of that. That's why I was telling when the color is from 0 to 0.1 and from 0.1 to 0.2 and everything. Because yeah, the codec that is used in this case, it's a HAP-Q, and it's not very how shall I put it, nice all the time. It depends on the media. We have a lot of gradients there, and it's really tough to do. So we're getting a lot of noise in it. So, but because we don't use any gradients pretty much in a data set, so it's kind of in After Effects, it's above all, about the grain, about everything. So it's kind of, it's not affected by that. When you're doing primitive colors with UpQ, it's fine if you don't have a kind of a dose transition. Yeah, but we try to build in some tolerance to the some fault tolerance. So it's not, we're not looking for 0 precise. We're looking for the range from 0 to 0.1 and 0. Well, if you off by 10% with the color, it's really something bad happening. I think for a couple of percent, yes, I think. But hopefully, perhaps there will be a new codec that's coming. Let's see.
So basically, you weren't storing binary data in the images, but more just sliding analog values?
Yes, it's kind of, it's always, it's not about precise values, it's about ranges, actually. For example, we encode in our channel from the RGB, we encode in only 10 values, from 0 to 1, from 0.1 to 0.2, because it's impossible to get it 32-bit like a UV map in playback. Well, at least today. And so, yeah, and After Effects, for now, actually, it's working kind of okay.
Great.
For what we do, perhaps for more, really for more precise stuff, perhaps we can have just 2 files and 2 exports, and then we can have just 2 decks and kind of a completely synchronized playback, which will still kind of get all the benefits of the command mapping that we do, but perhaps we can do it with animation codec or something more precise, let's say.
Are there any other questions? Question over here.
Hello. One challenge I find working as an individual artist or maybe working in a small team, especially when you're dealing with all these technical things, is actually maintaining a sense of artfulness. And sometimes you just get so caught up in how do I make this damn thing work, and you just kind of lose the the overall vision. Like, how do you maintain that art vision when you're creating these projects?
Well, I'm not trying to do both things at the same time, that's for sure. And funny, because we were just talking yesterday about that with Tim and Roy. Yeah, if I'm doing the art stuff, I don't do TouchDesigner. If I'm doing TouchDesigner, I don't do art stuff. For me, at least, it's 2 kind of brains that are a little bit different. When I'm doing the art stuff, it's really about direction. It's really, as a director of the movie, you don't care if if the character can't play this, if an actor can't play this character, you need to replace an actor and not to kind of to shape the character if it goes well with the story. So I'm trying to get to be kind of a uncompromised in this way as much as I can. And perhaps another way is to get an outside art director for some projects. So you can, if the project is more interesting for you personally in technical way, which sometimes it does, for me at least. So yeah, external art director is kind of a good idea to have.
We have one more question over here.
If I understand correctly, you said you're encoding DMX that goes out to the LEDs in the pixels, yeah?
Yes.
So is that do you do one DMX channel in one pixel, or do you have to divide a DMX channel into steps of 10, the 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, so that one channel ends up spanning across several pixels, and then you have to decode that and combine it on the other side?
The way we're dealing with interpolations, it's actually a little bit more tricky than that, because whatever you do, if you encode the precise values of DMX, you will still get a crappy frame rate, because it's still encoded in 25 or 30 FPS, and you will still get all this kind of parasites of compression and everything. So actually what we encode in DMX, we encode the commons, where to look. For example, you can imagine you can have 10 types of animation, or I don't know, it can be 10 patterns, okay? For example, you have a sinus, you have a square, you have triangles, okay? And so what you actually encode is which one to run on this. And so this way you will get a perfect frame rate, you will get a perfect interpolation, and it's pretty much, well, if you devise the R channel on 3, there is no way it can kind of be so faulty, so it will not recognize this animation. So this way, at least, we can be sure that the quality of it's always the best for the medium we do, actually. So with the LEDs, it can run way faster than 25 FPS and everything. So it preserves kind of this fluidity. Yeah. And it's more tweakable. So you can globally tweak these 10 animations, for example, that you're launching, and it will be more consistent also in a way. And your freelancer doesn't need to know anything about it. Just, I don't know, if it's if the station is being kind of redone, you launch 1. If the station is closed, you launch 2, and everything. So it's really, really simple way to deal with those things.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me once again.